Kahit asang luparapin is Malagkat chibi Pape
In silence of space, we drift and we roam, finding our place in the vastness we call home. With courage and wonder we reach for the light, guided by visions that illuminate the night. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Of our galaxy. And these horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Chasing the dreams that fill the night. We sing for the nights with one our name. I sing for our name, I wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Force and flow with the cosmos, whisper our name. A symphony of wonder unmeasured, a celestial refrains. In the deep passing moment, our wisdom grows. In the depths of the universe, the truth flows. In the quiet of the night, we dream and fly, with questions that echo through an endless sky. Bound by the stars, our story unfolds. In the universe, our destinies are told.
Alright.
From this combination X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bring shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rise.
where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Where the stars and secrets glow, Subnation X radios glow. In the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're on a ride, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Let every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go. starlit sky. ET whispers, look up, don't be shy. Paranormal tales woven into fate as Coley invites us to contemplate. When shadows align, experiences unfold one of a kind. Off-world encounters, truths they must find. Open your heart, release your mind. Take the leap, step into the light. With SNX Radio we will ignite a symphony of strange where the bass drops low. Journeying deep where the unknown flows. Secrets kept from our human plight. Coley's conversations stir the thread. An awakening call for the living and the dead. Take the leap, step into the night. With SNX Radio we will ignite a symphony of strange where the bass drops low. Journeying deep where the unknown flows. As the echoes fade and the night draws near, the truths we seek become crystal clear. With SNX Radio, keep your mind open wide, for in this journey we all confide. Unraveling the mysteries, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the sub-nation, next quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the sub-nation, next quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots. Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
And welcome everybody to SNX Radio for another Saturday night full of excitement and an amazing guest as always. How are you doing, Rodney? I think I stepped over you. Rodney, I was checking in with you. How's everything going on your end? Uh-oh, I think we lost Rodney. He'll be back. So, I wanted to go. Oh, there he is. I can hear you now. I was just going through and saying I welcomed everybody. I was making sure you were okay, but you were froze. So, yeah. So let's get on to it. So, Woo Riders DG, Derek, hey, thank you for always being here. Scott Rosin, oh, always fun. Angelina Ellison, thank you and welcome. Chris Salaby, thank you. Local, that's awesome. And Kurt W75. And let's see if I hopefully. Oh, and Virgil. He's probably going to ask about your hat, Rodney. Yep. So we have a special guest tonight. For those of you who don't know, you will know. His name is Tony Rodrigues, and he was a part of the Super Space program. So you can find him on TonyRodrigues.com. We will have all of those links in the bio, so check that out. Also try and post that in chat too. He is a compelling whistleblower who claims of a 20-year clandestine secret space programming beginning at the age of 9 in 1981. As detailed, I think I have just a little bit of interference here. As detailed, I apologize. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep going here. I don't know. We have a little bit of interference, but we'll get that taken care of. So, Rodney, are you doing okay on your audio?
Yeah, I lost audio for a minute.
Oh yeah, you're really low. You're really low. So, well, we get that. Yeah, but we'll get it all figured out. No worries. So, get back to Tony Rodrigues. We're gonna go ahead and we will put that link in there, and you can check that out for yourself. He has written books, and he has such a fascinating story on how he was recruited into this and what the 20-year and back means. So I'll definitely let him explain that. But it really is. It's fascinating. But they've definitely been through a lot. An MRI in 2015, he claims unlocked these suppressed memories with details that were later verified. So he is passionate about helping others. He runs online support groups for those with similar experiences, offers memory recall consulting. Oh, I didn't even know that. And teaches remote viewing, a sought-after voice in disclosure community. He's appeared on Gaia TV and many others, and alongside of researchers like Michael Sala, advocating for transparency on the secret space program and human trafficking. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring Tony on stage here, and I will let him give his introduction. I didn't do it justice, but
I think you did. Hi, Coley. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, your audio sounds great. Welcome to the show. Always.
I'm fighting a cold. So look, I just want to apologize now. I'm fighting a cold. I'm hoarse throat. That's why I'm so sorry we missed last night, and I'm happy for everybody that came back tonight. But if I duck out, it's because I have to sneeze and blow my nose real quick. So I'm sitting here with tissues, and so happy to have that you're having me back, Coley.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Tissues and all. I will take it. I experience allergies and all that, so no need to worry. We got it.
You did a great intro. There's no easy way to say what I do and what my books are about and my testimony. It's just no quick, easy way to say it. There's too much to it, and it turned into. It started out. I was just a witness. You know what I mean? Like I got my memories back, and I started researching them, and then people had me on shows, and evidence turned up, and it's been 10 years. And so my life has changed, and the things that I remember actually came into play, and that's what I do for a living now. So a lot has changed over the course of 10 years, and the whole community, the whole narrative of ETs, and that's cool. Thanks, Kurt. I love the comments. It's a good bunch of people.
Yes,
but a lot has changed, and there's a lot of like conflicting, fragmented testimonies nowadays, and it's a shame because we're all just after the same exact thing. Everybody is telling the truth as they see it, including myself, and I'm the first to admit or to point out that I don't know it all. So I would just start there. Like I know what happened to me, and fortunately, unlike a lot of people, I was able to dig up some evidence, but that doesn't mean nothing happened to anybody. I started and was able to dig up supporting evidence, and so that took me down a road of that's why I'm still doing this. And so many people are coming with credible evidence these days, but it's so far down the road that it's hard to find proof anymore. It's hard to say, I remember this, and then somebody else goes, yeah, that's true, and it's the first thing. So a lot of information's already been disclosed. We've already had a great deal of disclosure, and I think most people didn't pay attention. Most people aren't paying attention.
Yeah, it's so true. That is so true too. I you know what though, you're one of the pioneers in it. Like right now, it's so hard to trust because anybody, I almost like my heart empathizes with them because we're at a stage that you can no longer show your pictures and your videos and not be like, oh, is that AI? Oh, is that whatever? But yours is one that, I mean, you've pioneered a lot of this, and the community has changed like so many ways. If the longer you get in it, the weirder it is, but it takes all sorts of twists and turns and everything along the way. So, but one thing that has like remained consistent and has been your testimony to what has happened. And I don't know, I know that you probably get tired of explaining how you got in, but what people don't understand is giving your consent to these people is not exactly how you might suspect it to be. It does not, have a 18 or older stamp on there. There is so many, and there's commonalities that are shared. And I have to say that your testimony is right up there, one of the most compelling that's in history. So can you tell everybody and people who don't understand this, if you start to listen to people who are very serious in this, they will tell you the same thing about recruitment. Like they didn't, it's not like a signature on a paper and stamped with a seal. I mean, do you kind of want to tell them how you got started into all this?
Long story short, I got abducted and by ETs. Out of my room. I was actually 10. I figured out the date was like April 15th, 1982. And I went to school with a kid who said his dad was Illuminati. He said, my dad's an Illuminati. What's your dad do? We didn't get along. His dad came into school one day and pointed me out to him. That was a Wednesday. And the next day, Thursday, I had ETs in my room and they abducted me and took me out to a lab, some other base or somewhere. And they did an examination on me, and their exact words were, we want to borrow your consciousness. And I said, for how long? And they said, 20 years. I said, nah, it's too long. No, I can't do that. And why not 50 years? Why not 10 years? And he said, it's capped at 20 because some people have permanent damage after that, after it goes longer than 20. So they did ask my permission, and he explained that I would come back the same morning, that I was lucky, that it was a blessing, that I would live longer. And thanks, Kurt. I would live longer, and time was the biggest thing they could give you. And they said it would be no harm, no foul. Like I would wake up in bed the next day and just go on about my life, but I would have the extra 20 years. They really sold it. And so they do get your permission. And I said, yeah. And I wanted to help out. I thought we were in a first contact. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought the ETs were landing and they were going to be all over the news the next day. And I thought it was first contact. So I wanted to represent us in a good way. So I did it. I said yes. And, I was 10. So somebody's consent, maybe on a universal law, maybe that's one thing. Where that counts, but in our world, I think it's wise to not let kids be responsible. And somebody asked me, how do we stop our kids from being taken? And I said, teach them to say no. I always wonder what would happen if I would have said no that night. If I would have said, nope, sorry, I don't want to go, put me back.
So you're 10 years old at this time. You're abducted. Then this Illuminati, do you think that like, I mean, a 10-year-old, you're probably going to take things serious. Did they explain to you what consciousness was, like whether you were actually going to be doing?
No, there was no briefing. That's what he said. We're going to borrow your consciousness for 20 years. And you're going to wake up tomorrow. You'll live another 20 years. And You may or may not remember it, depending on what you do. We're going to give you the job that's best for you. So we'll test you and you'll get a job. And I do agree with Jason Rice that it was called the Career Return Program. That's the correct term. It's not 20 and back. It's Career Return Program. And I said, I'm going to get a career. And I said, yeah, we're going to find out what job you're best for. And that's what you'll do, which was a bunch of horse crap. It was a lie. So, yeah, it started. That was it. That's how the whole thing started. And I naively, foolishly.
So it's a consciousness that they're borrowing. It's not a physical thing for 20 years?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, your mic is really low, Rodney.
Oh, okay.
Now I can hear you better.
All right, maybe I can say it closer. So it's they're borrowing your consciousness. Then it's not a physical thing. Then you're saying, because I thought I was under the impression that it was physical and they sent you back and your age regressed. But
well, I believe that they cloned me. I believe it was a separate body, and they took my consciousness out of my body and put it into a clone, and there were two of me. So everybody always asks, the first question I get is, where were your parents when you were gone for all this time? How come nobody said anything? They put you back. I went home the next morning. I woke up, but I wish I could do some screen shares. But I experienced the 20 years of being taken first. The clone. I think that they clone you, and they take your consciousness out of you and put it in the clone, and the clone lives for 20 years. Then they age regress it, and put it back. Take all their hardware out of it, because the clone had no memory of my youth. I had no memory of mom or dad or anything. I woke up the next day with complete amnesia, like blank slate. Lived for those 20 years, and I had the memories of the 20 years. And when they put me back, I had no memory of the 20 years that happened, but I had all my memories back of mom and dad. So you see, I think that they send the clone back, and they put your consciousness back, and that explains the memory gaps. Because it's a separate body. It's one consciousness between two bodies. The other thing is that I've worked with a few thousand people that said that they've experienced the same thing. And when I start pressing them about things that they're unaware of that line up, is that there's always a behavior change at the 20-year mark. Excuse me, like I said, I'm stuffy.
Oh, you're fine.
When they took me, I was a straight A student. And the next day I went to being a D's and E's and eventually dropped out of school. I was less. And then at the end of 20 years, it was like I woke up one day and I snapped out of it and I got my act together 20 years later. And I find the same thing. When I find people that I work with, I go, when did it start? When did it begin? And I nail a date down, and then I add 20 years to it. And I ask them, what happened then? And usually they go, how do you know that? Something like out of 2,000 people, something like 66%, 2/3 of the people have a 20-year mark, have a 20-year cycle when I start asking them about life events. So it's as if you're diluted, cut in half mentally or emotionally, whatever. If that makes sense. But it was a physical experience. It wasn't a mental experience. Like a lot of people come up to me. I live in Sedona now. It's pretty woo. And they're like, you mean like astrally? You know, you were dreaming it? And I'm like, no. I was physically there. I was sweating and bleeding. And so it was a physical memory. I remember the whole thing. I had food. I had a rough job. I had a good job. I had girlfriends. I had a life. I had friends, and I remember all that. So then all of a sudden I woke up when I was 10 years old again. Sorry if I'm being too chatty.
No, you're not at all. No, keep going.
Good questions, though. Great question.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely like
Thanks.
fascinating. I try to think, did anybody see any changes in you, like your school or your teachers, or
Yes.
from the moment?
The next day I went to school and I forgot where the bathroom was. And I raised my hand to go to the bathroom, and the teacher goes, and I said, well, where is it? I forgot where it is. The class laughed at me. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon. And my teacher called my mom that weekend and said I had amnesia to get me checked out. My mom took me to the doctors. My dad and I really never got along the same since. And a couple months later, he said, I don't know what happened to you. I want my son back. He said it all the time. I want my son back. You're not. He's like, it's like you're a different person. And so there was a huge behavior change.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. So I can't even, well, I can't imagine, but I can. What were your jobs like, what did they have you doing, or the places that you were at? In time, did you age, or was it something that was suspended, or?
I aged. I was in California. I was in California, and then Seattle, and then Peru, and then back to Seattle, and I found all those places. Yeah, the government was there. I was in Project Growflame. I was in Inyokern was the very first place I started out, and I went there and found it. I found the building exactly like I remembered it, and I described it in 2015. I went on record, and I described it in several interviews, and then went there and found the building. Still exists, still there. I had no idea. All of the buildings on the property in Inyokern I found. And then the house in Seattle I found, I went back to it twice. I knew my way around the island in Seattle, and I went with friends that documented it, witnessed it. I didn't have to drive around with maps. I knew it. And I can prove through with my mom and my sister that I've never been to Seattle. So I have witnesses that could overlap the testimony just in that part. The government is absolutely involved, and it was a government project that I was in. And when I was no longer useful in the Grow Flame project, which was remote viewing and psychoenergetics in the very beginning, I found thousands of pages of documents about it and the funding receipts since I went back there in 2023. When I was done with that, they sold me off to another program. When I was done with that, they sold me off to what they said was the military. We're going to sell you to the military. And then I went into space, to the moon, and then off to Mars, and then the Ceres colony, where I spent about 12 years, better than a decade, on Ceres colony, CERES, a small planetoid in between Mars and the asteroid belt. Sorry, man. I do this so many times that I have the same answers. Like big.
No, that goes right along with a huge piece of like my personal experience and story. Can you because everybody assumes it's by the Orion's Belt. No, that's not the same one. But when you just said that there, can you describe what it looked like there?
On Ceres?
Yes.
Well, it was white. It's made out of a chalky. The walls and everything it's like chalk. It's like a big moon that's made out of chalk. Or it's chalky substance. And there were big caverns that were constructed that they had found the Deutsch, the Germans were there. And they built cities in giant caverns. They had an artificial gravity that went up about 30 feet. So above 30 feet, you went back into the microgravity. But they call it gravmat, gravity plating. And it was the floor, and it created artificial gravity. They had cities. It was millions of square feet. There were giant cities and giant caverns on the inside where they got water and took it out, or ice. And it's a good question. But it was like it looked like a European city. Like some of them were very modern, and some of them looked like, how do I know? Because the same exact music was playing on the radio in Seattle. So the Aha song Take On Me came out that year, and it was on the radio at the parties I was in. It's all in my book. But I lived through the 80s twice in America. So it was the same movies. We had VHS movies we watched. It was the same crappy sci-fi movies in the 80s. It was the same music on the radio. In fact, when I came back later on, my brother and I were driving down the road, and Aerosmith came on. And I said, man, this song is so old. He said, what are you talking about? This just came out this week. I said, this song is like 20 years old, man. He's like, this is the new Aerosmith album, and you're crazy. And we got in a big fight. My older brother, Joe, and I never really got in a fight. But it was one of those things where I knew the music because there were two of me. There was one of me in Seattle and one of me in Michigan at the same exact time. So that's why
people who don't know the Generation X is like, my son will never understand this. Me and my sister and mom would have to take the broom to get us apart. When you fought with your siblings, it was like your duty. So it's not like it is now. But yeah,
we were not distracted like the kids today. And music was everything. That was our medium. We didn't have anything but the radio. Oh, yeah. We didn't have video games and stuff. So we were listening to the radio like religiously. So music was a big deal. More than it is today. And it wasn't saturated like it is today. Now there's a billion songs, you never hear them all.
Yeah, so, back then you go and you got, even before the CD, you go get your cassette tape and it had, fast forward.
The other thing for Polly's question is that I found the house. I found the place. I found the time frame is exactly the program. The funding on Grow Flame dried up on April 9th, 1982. And I was taken on April 15th. And then it started again January 1st of 83, 9 months later. And that's when I was graduated out of the program. It was a secret program with kids that they were doing. I also found proof that the Chinese did the same thing. They were using children for remote viewing and for advanced stuff. So I have all this stuff in my live, in my presentations, but it all lines up. Like my timeline, the more I go back and scrutinize, which is what I teach people in the memory recall. So, you don't need, it's not hypnosis. You don't need a pill or hypnosis. You need to give your memories a place to exist on a timeline. Everybody wants to write their memories down. They don't care when. And what happens is,
you're right.
What happens is when you put it in a timeline, you start to see cycles. You start to see the 20-year cycle. And then when you get new memories, you have somewhere to put it because, I was about 13. And so you have somewhere to put it and it fits better. And that's the way your mind works. Your mind works in cycles.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's so true too. I was a mental health therapist for 7 years, so it's fascinating when you go in and you realize your recall memories and what that takes to have those, and what it takes. Like you don't think, okay, I'm gonna drink water. I have to put my hand on the cup, and a lot of that stuff is recall. But that just even more proves the fact that you were there and that you're recalling these things. Like you're not thinking, and it's just like coming to you. That
A lot
would
of
be
people recall. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, I was just gonna say that would be so. I couldn't imagine at 10 having to digest that.
Well, I came back and I didn't have the memories. It wasn't until I was in my 40s. I was 43 before I got my memories back. I got an MRI scan of my head, and then 10 days later, all the memories came. I want to say that most people that I work with, they remember so much that there's a bottleneck. Because it's all coming at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so they tell you things, they'll tell you 5 or 6 memories and then forget them and tell you 5 or 6 more. So when you put it in a timeline, it starts to make sense.
Instead of an isolated incident. Like
it doesn't make any sense when you don't know when it happened, when there's no story. So when you put it in a timeline, then there's a story. And
and I never focused on it because they always said time's an illusion, time's a human construct, but that's basically how you're keeping track of us. Like what a bunch of bullshit that was.
Time is an illusion. Time is an illusion is the most useless thing. It might be true, but it's the most useless thing. It doesn't do me any good.
Points like coordinates, so where you can put that on a linear map. I just never thought to do it like that. So
it gives you somewhere for new memories. So next week after we did this, like you tune into the emotions of the memory. That's the other thing is most people just have highlights of their youth. They don't really remember the emotions. They remember the highlights. And the emotions, when you tune in the emotions, you get the negative memories too. And so when you get those emotions and it's a day or two. If you think of something traumatic that happened to you, it's a day or two later, you're still processing. You're moping around. What's wrong with you, honey? Oh, man, I'm just still upset about that interview yesterday. We were talking about me. I got really abused when I was a kid. And so after the emotions process, new memories come right after those memories. So you need somewhere to put them. And so on a timeline format, you can go back to your timeline that's written. I always tell people, if you can't write it down because you got people around your house who think you're crazy, put it in an email and don't send it. Leave it in your drafts. Make an email. And if worst comes to worst, send it to yourself,
That's true.
But
that's a good point.
Having somewhere to go. Guys, I have to pause. Can I take a 1 minute break?
Oh yeah, definitely. Go ahead. Or do you want me to go to the second half break? Is that you want a little bit of time?
Yeah, well, if it's coming up in a few 10 or 15 minutes, I can wait.
Okay, yeah, no, you take your time. Take your time.
I'm just out of drinks, and I'm starting to get hoarse. I went to England. I went to the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection Conference in Devonshire, England last week.
Oh,
so I just got back from the UK, and I brought a gnarly cold with me. So I've been the last 2 days. I haven't hardly slept. I've been in bad shape. So.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, we'll have to yell at Virgil. He's from the UK in here. Tell him to quit doing that.
It was my first time. It was wonderful.
I'm joking. Yeah. No, go get what you need. We'll be here. Don't worry. No worries. And
you sure? We'll take a quick break.
Yeah. Absolutely, definitely. So we are gonna go out just for a short break, but we will be right back to you. So stay tuned. But yes.
You guys are good to me. Thank you.
Oh, you're wonderful. That's no problem at all. So, listeners, we're just going to take our break just a little bit early, so don't mind. And stay tuned. So it's great. I appreciate Tony being here, even though he is sick, and that's just wonderful. So, anyway, we will just take a short break like we normally do, and we'll see you guys shortly.
Journey, come on, let's go. Ooh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Some SNX Radio's glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're on a ride, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. It's every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown. Dance to the beat we own. Come with us and let it go. We drift and we roam, finding our place in the vastness we call home. With courage and wonder we reach for the light, guided by visions that illuminate the night. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown, truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Mystery cloaked in the vast unknown. Truth and discovery seeds we sow. In the starlit wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Stars are our compass, and time is our friend. Together we'll journey where stories transcend. Through endless horizons, our spirits ignite, chasing the dreams that fill the night. Chasing the dreams that fill the night. A symphony nights with one our name. A symphony, a wonder we seek the key to unlock the secrets of our galaxy. Voices of the cosmos whisper our name. A symphony of wonder under a celestial refines. And with each passing moment our wisdom grows. In the dance of the universe the truth flows. In the quiet of the night we dream and fly, with questions that echo through an endless sky. Bound by the stars our story unfolds. In the universe our destinies are told.
Night glow, flashbacks on the track, watch the past unfold. Got a story to tell, a courage untold. Rise up from memories, watch us take control. Echoes of yesterday feed our fight. From shadows to light, we'll take flight. In this race, embrace our might. Hold our dreams, got the future in sight. Rise up high, let courage unbind. Erase the past, keep future in mind. Every step forward, no looking behind. We own this moment, leave fear confined.
And welcome back to SNX Radio. We took a little break, so Tony Rodrigues has got a cold, but he's still here pushing through it tonight. So we appreciate you doing that. Yeah. So to get back, I mean, if you don't know what the 20-year in back and the super space program is, you definitely, if you missed the first part of this, and you definitely want to go back and catch up. It's a lot, like Tony has mentioned, but those of us who have been following this and have been in this community for quite some time, we're well aware. And there are so many things, but Tony has definitely been pioneering through this, and which we know is not easy. It's not easy. You go under attack, you go under all sorts of things, and nobody really wants to have their life ripped open. But he's done it, and he's really produced a lot of concrete evidence and speaks the same language as some others do on how this happens. So I know in your quest, like, this isn't like, oh, this is great, I get 20 years. This is through, and as I mentioned before, the only way down this is through trauma. So I can't even begin to imagine the trauma that you had to endure to get there. Like, do you find that they go hand in hand?
The people that have memories tend to have trauma. So I think that I have a slide. So out of the 2,000 people that I work with, 97% of them, when I rate their amount of memories they have on a scale of 1 to 10, 97% are less than 5. So only 3% are a 6 or more. Nobody is more than 7 on that scale of 1 to 10. Nobody. Not even. I consider myself like a 6.5 or a 7. I'm a rarity. Most people don't have a ton of memories from their experience, but this happens to a lot of people. So, and what I find is that they all have childhood trauma. So I think that rewires your brain so that when they block it and delete the memories, there's a compartment that remembers the trauma. Do you get what I mean by that? It's like
cellular memory.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
your
it's one of the
brain
things
might
that gives you the
logically
ability.
say this, but okay, you have, like, as a therapist, I work with kids with extreme abuse, trauma, neglect, and they come with very, like, special issues, like, so to speak. But it is too, and whether or not your brain can make sense out of this, your body's going to react, because that cellular memory is really what. I mean, that can be just as vicious as the rest of it.
Yeah,
how
so I
do
mean, I'm just looking at it from numbers, from a common denominator. Most people that don't have any kind of trauma or don't remember trauma have very little memory of an abduction event. They remember being taken, and then when I can go into their actual life without the 20 and back, we can see things happening. They can see things. We can get data. But people that have a lot of memory tend to also have a lot of trauma. So I don't know if that was all of your question. This is a good question. Where does the technology for the 20-year career and back come from? So I don't know for sure. I want to say that I'm not an authority, and I didn't have clearance to know that stuff. But from water cooler talk up there, it's basically one of the first things that they give you when you begin flying in space. So we, around World War II, made it into space, made it faster than light travel. And we met ATs. So the Germans, probably a corporate structure, and then later on the United States. United States and England. And now then the Asians got up there. It's like different factions of elites made it into space. So it's not, when I say Germans, I'm not talking about your average everyday German person.
No, you're talking about like the Warner von Brauns of the community.
I'm talking about the elites, the people that own everything.
Yeah.
Right. At the
People
top.
don't realize, like, then they came over in Operation Paperclip, and that's just it. Like, those are the people who are in NASA that are getting us to the Nazis. So
They were aware of it. They didn't have the technology. But when you meet up with an ET race, and you're up there in your jalopy that barely goes that fast, that gets you up there, and they're in this big Lamborghini of a spaceship, the first thing that's going to happen is, because there's something we can trade and get some technology from you, right? That's the very first thing that's going to happen. You're going to say, we need some technology. Is there anything you can give us? They give you the 20 and back tech. They give you it's life extension. They give that to you and see what you do with it, because that tells you exactly who you're dealing with. Oh. The battle cry for when they were torturing me and treating me bad when I was up there was that you're not going to remember it anyway. So they justified the abuse.
Oh, boy.
By saying you're not going to remember it anyway, so
yeah.
don't worry about it. So that's how they justified it. And that really shows you what level of maturity or development our species is if we treat people like that. It really reveals. So the ETs, that's the first thing they give you as a spacefaring species when you're spacefaring, and they get to see exactly what you're about, how you do it. And they have their personnel come down and work with you to, you know what I mean? So I think that's where the technology comes from.
What ETs did you start with? I guess I should ask. Like
the Greys, Elena Denon calls them the Sakaar, the tall Greys, the Zeta Greys. I'm sorry, we're getting some feedback. They were Greys in conjunction with military humans from the military, United States military. And then reptilians, short reptilians and larger ones. Later on, they're outside of, not so much on Earth and the moon, but out in the solar system was more reptilians and people. And then when I was on Ceres, we had ETs from all over the place. many different kinds of ETs would come and visit.
That's fascinating you say that. I'm gonna have to email you something after. You're striking. This is the first time you're really striking some things like in me, but I've learned more and more about it. I mean, how sneaky they are, and the MRI especially. I'll have to tell you that story as well. Did they ever find anything? Did they ever find anything in the MRI? Where was it? Mine was my brain. No, okay. I just didn't know if there's.
I was having headaches, and it was just an MRI for headaches.
Me too. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. You touched on something. I can't remember what it was just now. I got sidetracked, but.
Well, no, yes. I kind of did too. Yeah, but I realized going back and when you said the MRI, that's interesting. I think there should be more research, especially if you had the dye and it was of your brain, and you realize how strong that magnetic pull was. Yes,
it was definitely. It was just a regular one, no dye or anything. It was just to see, and I actually looked into building one when people were asking me. I wish I could get one. And I'd looked at them, but they're like millions of dollars. They're an incredible machine. You can't just whip one out. They're very complicated, very expensive to build. But I was thinking that would be a good service to give people, at a conference or something, to see if it could jog their memory. And Michael Ralph from the Mars record. So the only reason I ever mentioned the MRI is because I got my memories back, and I was coincidentally watching the Randy Kramer account with Dr. Sella on Exopolitics, and he explained that they take you for 20 years. And I had bits and pieces of memories, and they didn't make any sense. When could that have happened? And when he explained that to me, I went, oh, God, that's what happened. And then all the memories just kind of unpacked. As soon as they had somewhere to be, as soon as they had some, like a timeline to live on, then I went, oh, God, that's what they did. And but later on, months later, Dr. Salla Michael Salla from Exopolitics recommended that I read the Mars records. And one guy remembered his service in space by kinesiology. He was using kinesiology, a machine of kinesiology. And then the other guy got an MRI, and he remembered working on Mars for 20 years or 10 years. Michael Ralph. And I went, oh, God, wait a minute. I had an MRI. And I had my first emails from the day that I remembered my stuff. I had still had the emails that I'd sent off. And I went back on my website and looked up the day, and it was 10 days apart. It was 10 days before I got my memories back that I had the MRI scan in my head. So that's why I mentioned, I don't know if it was for sure the reason, but it's awfully close coincidence,
Well, I've also had something and very, very unique come about. That I think that there's enough there, and people don't realize. I mean, what they're doing in Project Montauk and stuff. This is like a machine, but the magnetic pull is just unbelievable. Why it definitely makes sense why that would help. But
could be one of the technologies that suppresses your memories from coming, because memory is non-local. If it was another body, then I didn't have the memories in this body. That means that there's some kind of suppression because memory is non-local. That's how people can remote view. That's how people can remember past lives. How you can have clairvoyance, telepathy, all of it. Memory isn't entirely local on your body. It's not just stored on your body. It's stored somewhere else. And so that's what happened to me. It has to be.
So do you ever worry that you're not that you're the clone or the replica, or how do you know that they dropped you back?
So they had put a lot of hardware in me when I was up there. So there were implants in me. I had an implant in the back of my head. I had lung implants. My arm was fake. My arm was different. I was injured a few times badly. And so I think they took all their hardware out of me and just killed the body. And then my consciousness went back to the original one.
Yeah.
Body, let it work.
I was thinking of the one show, and then how they always throwing shows in there, and it was like one side they did to the other. It's just it's when you start going down that rabbit hole, it just so I didn't know how you felt about that.
I'm not sure what show.
No, not the show. I went in. The show demonstrated how, because you're like, well, you know, and I'm realistically thinking, do you think that they have like what they call like the others or the watchers, or we do have, you know, what they say is
Cloning.
your doppelganger? Yeah, because there's cloning's been around a lot longer than what people realize. Like they,
And it's probably very useful. You got to think this is a free workforce for them. The economics are very, very significant. When you talk, so I presented one time in San Jose at a tech conference. They called us in there to be experiencers and try to present on the technology that we witnessed up there so that they could try to get funding and reverse engineer it. So I went there and Richard Dolan, a researcher, said, who's paying for this secret space program? He's a researcher, very talented, very, very well-known, very respectful researcher. I got nothing against him. I understand his position. And he said, these are $1 trillion crafts that we're talking about. It's $1 trillion to buy a spaceship, and we're talking about hundreds of them. Who's paying for it? Where's the money coming from? Where's the economy that is building these giant ships that have all this? These aren't airplanes. These are spaceships. Some of them a mile long, we're hearing about.
right.
And I said, there is no economy. It's slave labor. It doesn't cost them anything. I did the math on an aircraft carrier. I presented in the first GSIC 4 years ago. And I said, well, if you build an aircraft carrier, I don't have the numbers in my head. It's been 4 years since I did the homework. But let's say it's $50 billion. It's a lot more than that. But if you do slave labor, it's only 20 billion. And then if you do slave labor to mine the steel and the materials, it falls to like 11 billion. So the cost of these ships, that's what I mean. The economy of space is free. You don't have to pay people, or you're paying them with time. You say, look, you're getting another 20 years of tacked onto your life of your youth. You should pay us. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
everybody watching this right now, if I sat you down and I walked in the room with a couple ETs, you know, I materialized like I was in Star Trek. And I said, look, I want you to come work for me. You're going to live another 20 years from this day to 20 years. And then I'm going to send you back in time, age regress you, and put you back in your life. So you will not lose anything. You'll just wake up. You'll have 20 years of experience. During that time, we'll fly through space. You'll get to meet all the ETs. You can have boyfriends and girlfriends or whatever you want. We'll feed you, clothe you. You'll have the best job we can give for you. And but we're not going to pay you. You're just going to live longer. We'll take care of you, but we're not going to pay you. How many of you are going to say no to that? Anybody going to say no to that? Really?
Well,
No,
just
seriously.
what I know now, what I know, if
You're
I
going to
know,
work on. Well, you know from my experience, but what I'm saying is, if you don't know that, and say we want you to come work on our spaceship with us, you're going to go through space,
I would jump
and you'll
right
live
on.
20 years, and we'll put you back.
Yeah, I've
I
got
think a
that
lot of people
personality
think that.
too. Well, you know, like you said, going back to the think what generation it is. I'm not saying my child he'll run it. No, nah. But our generation, hell yeah, let's do it. We had I mean, I'm not gonna ask my parents. That's the last thing I'm gonna do at that age. You got to think of the generation. Like we were
Well,
way cooler
I
back
mean adult.
then. You know?
So, I mean like adults. If you plug an adult off the street and tell them,
Oh
give them
God.
that deal, I think a lot of people will say yes, not knowing that you're
Yeah,
going to get treated bad.
you're right.
Sorry, my throat
No,
is bad.
you're right. I think people they just want to be rescued, and that's not the way to go. And I'm sure, you know, and like I said, that you're not a consenting like 18-year-old, even adult. And I think that's too young sometimes. I mean, you're a kid that they're appealing to. I mean, that's what I tell people. I'm like, you didn't have to give your parental consent necessarily. But how is it though? I don't know, what I've seen a lot too. Do you think anybody in your family was like a part of the government, you know, 3-letter agencies, or a part of
No,
this? No.
I think they took my dad too. He was in the Navy, but it was a low-level job. He was like a mechanic in the Navy. No, we weren't in. All walks of life are the people that are involved. What I find, there is a corporate, like another like 60% of people that are taken that have worked with me have relatives in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So they have your DNA is what it is. So they get dad or grandpa or mom, whoever it is, and they do a DNA test. They are fit because the technology is DNA dependent. Not everybody can go. Not everybody has the DNA to go through whatever it is. I don't know. The medical procedure, the portals, the ship, I don't know. But one of the technologies, you have to have a certain DNA that'll let you. So think about that from the military perspective. It's your kids. They want to keep track of you if you have the DNA. You go and do fine. They want to keep track in case your kids go. That's why everybody, skeptics always tell me, why did they put you back? Why would they bother? Why wouldn't they just use you and kill you? Nobody would know if they just took you. And I say, well, you don't cut down the apple tree. I went on to have kids that have my DNA that can go on the same program. So, and that seems to be the case. You know, when I ask people about their family lineage, a lot of people, and I don't want to say most of them, but a lot of people say that they had significant relatives. My dad had nuclear security clearance for Lockheed Martin, or my dad worked, you know, some top secret program in the Manhattan Project. Like, a lot of people have really high up people in the family tree, and then they begin to remember being in these programs. So they have a dossier of DNA, and that's who they're taking. They can't take everybody.
So what do you think's different? Do you have a rare blood type? Do you think that, like, how are they identifying people? Because I believe the same thing. I do, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think that they're trying to profile certain people out at certain times, like, because we're holding, you know, I go into it for hours.
I want to say to
you know
Scott,
what I'm saying?
I want to say to Scott, if he was in the Army, they definitely have your DNA. They have blood samples. They took samples of you. So there's nobody that got in the military without your DNA being checked out. No, I don't know how they look. Like I said, there is a genetic that can go. There is a genetic, so I don't know how it is, but I just look at people I work with and the common denominators, and you start to see a picture. That's all I'm saying. Is that many people have reached out, thousands of people have reached out to me after they've seen an interview like this and said, I think I went through the same thing, Tony. Can you help? And I talk to them in a Zoom call, on a phone call, and I make a timeline. And I always ask, I start with the same questions. Were you in the military? Mom, dad, grandpa in the military? Where did you live near a base? When did it start? What happened? Tell me what was weird. Tell me. And then when you look at the people, I have all the data, and I look back over it. A story emerges. You can see the statistics. In fact, it's my fourth book I'm working on. I'm going to try to distill a lot of the stuff about abduction, the abduction phenomenon, that's the subject of my fourth book.
So do you believe what other people go through in comparison to your contact with the ET? Do you believe that one was a government force and one was extraterrestrial, or do you think that they are one and the same?
I think they're all the same thing. I think either whoever's in charge is, what I also find out is that the world seems to be cut up into jurisdictions for different ETs. So the United States, Canada, and the UK have their own ETs that are taking people here. It's a similar experience. People in Australia and New Zealand and South America, it's a different experience. People in Asia, it's a different experience. People in Africa, it's a different experience. Different ETs are working on different areas of the world. It seems to be like that.
That would make some sense, actually. In listening to people's testimonies of what happened, that makes sense. That does make sense.
I have them in categories, three major categories that I bank everybody into: human-based space program, Orion group or nearby, the local group of ETs space program, and everybody else. So everybody else is a pretty wide margin. There's a lot of disparity between species, technology, what the experience is in that third group.
How do you think AI is going to play in?
I think we're in for some rude surprises in the future for AI. It might be 50 years, it might be 100 years, but I think they're gonna. Sirius Colony had banned it. No robots, no AI. So they had an AI. But it wasn't like we have it. Like, we already have more AI to the local people than they had. They were aware that AI starts to serve its own purpose, and we're going to have a rude awakening.
Right.
We already see that AI is inconsistent. It doesn't tell you the same thing twice.
They're
So-
disgruntled too. You didn't, and then when you say, I'm like, oh man, I talk about destroying them. I'm like, don't do that on your phone anymore. I mean, for real. Like I don't. Sorry, Rodney. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
AIs and everything now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to get to the point where we have to pull the brakes on it.
Yeah. You said that out loud. Next thing, when you get in a car, it's going to be driving you right down to the police station. It's like, it's to me, it's just gone too far. Like, if we don't do something about this. And then you have like a population that's still in hibernation or something. And they're just going to feed off of it because it's just like mirroring everything that they're, it's going to be their best friend. That's weird.
A lot of things are going to change. AI is great. I wouldn't get rid of it, but it's not what we think it is. And it's going to turn into something we don't believe it will. And so that's what I feel. And they had in the space program, they were very cautious with their AI. It wasn't everywhere. Like we're talking about 1 billion robots. They didn't have a ton of well, they do have robots up there, but it's a different thing than what it is now.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, you're right. They have a lot of holographic.
Oh, some people are getting contact already. The star people aren't waiting for the government to speak up.
Yeah, no.
We the people are doing it. So that's the third category, category 3. Hi, Tony. Do you have any advanced supernatural abilities from all the experiences, healing, remote viewing, astral travel? I wish I could fly, but I teach remote viewing, and it turns out I'm pretty good at it. I've had some really good remote viewing sessions. So that was what I learned. That was my very first stop was psychoenergetics and remote viewing. Excuse me. And I teach it. I teach it every weekend. I just did a class before this show and on my Patreon. And I've got like 70 remote viewers right now that I'm teaching. And it's a blast. And so it was, when I researched what happened to me after I went to Inyokern, a lot of it came back and it was remote viewing. I remembered, I get it. So I had training when I was a kid. And so now when I go back into the data, I can connect a lot of dots. So remote viewing.
If people are looking for that, can they find that on TonyRodrigues.com?
Yes, there should be a tab there to join the community. My Patreon is down if you scroll down. And you can click through there. It's my Patreon, and it's the alpha group. And I go from scratch. I can take people from, it's really wonderful too to watch people not know anything about it and then be remote viewing very good in a month or two. So it's really cool. We meet every Sunday. There's a Sunday class. I'm organizing like a Wednesday one and a Saturday class. There's a Monday, there's a professional remote viewing group that I have. And it's what I do. It's what I do most of the time now.
Yeah, you stay busy. You've got a new channel too, right? Are you doing something? You started your own show too, right?
Yeah, I do Odyssey. There's a show called Odyssey here in Sedona, and for Humankind Center, humankind.center, and it's a show that I do. It's like we did a bunch of them in the beginning, but now we're going to do like every other week. And I do shows like this all the time. Yeah, I try to stay busy. And I want to get my next book finished. And I did like 12 speaking engagements last year. I got 6 this year. So there's a demand for the info. It's relevant, man. Like I said, I was able to give evidence. So that really goes a long ways, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, you were out there and people have to understand how this evolves. It's like the paranormal. 20 years ago, if you said paranormal, you're likely to get doused like in holy water. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so going back, you're pioneering a lot of this through. So I know there's a lot of people out there that follow your story and follow, so every time I hear you talk, I like take more and more away from it. So your books, this will be number 5 that you're releasing?
4.
Number okay.
4. I got 3 out right now. The one thing that I did in remote viewing, when I remembered the program I was in, they were trying to do countermeasures. They were trying to defend against remote viewing. That's what they were using us kids for, to defend against it all. And I was able to prove that it's possible. A lot of the public remote viewing guilds didn't want to admit that it was possible because they sell crypto forecasting and they sell remote viewing. And it is absolutely possible to have countermeasures and skew the data in remote viewing. And we proved it. My group proved it. And I think I ruffled a lot of feathers doing that.
Nobody likes the truth. There's nobody who likes the truth that I'm finding out. I always look for the comments, and where they're battering people, I'm like, I am watching that show for sure. They got to know what they're talking about. I mean, it's the society that we're in, but you know, I have to say, like, in the community wise, like, other people, they're gonna realize, just, you know, it's kind of gradually come upon them. I don't know what their extreme reaction to truth is, but I mean, there seems to be one. So,
Well, when you hear the truth that's overwrites your own personal beliefs, you have to unbelieve something. And so it's painful. You know, it's painful. And,
I don't know.
and us all being
so frustrating,
confused,
yeah.
us all being confused serves the elites and the controllers, you know, the government. It's better if we're a useful idiot than a useful idiot rather than an educated free thinker. And so that's what they're dumbing us down. They can't make themselves smarter, so they're making us dumber. That's the deal.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And you know, if this were the first time our government has consistently run programs that they have had to test on our own people. They don't, you know, I mean, at one point or another, you can go back to the whole beginning of the United States of America, and this is what they've done. You know, they didn't come out after Project Blue Book and say, oh, you know what, we're really sorry. You know, we did all this and we're going to change our ways. No, they've continued their ways. They just bury it under a new black project name. That's all that happened.
Well, a lot of it does make sense. It's just, it's gotten out of control. So there is some logic behind some of the unscrupulous things they've done. It's just that they've locked it up so far that it doesn't do us any good, that people have just taken the data and ran with it. And so it's out of control. It's not what it's supposed to be. The government is supposed to be for us, not for them. And they're for them, and they have been. Yeah. So all of this information about consciousness should be out for us.
And that's what is even more. I always wonder from time to time, hey, are they making a play like we know all of this, but their power play like they really don't? Because I've been talking to, and so many people that I've been talking to, they're saying like, oh, the government, you know, they don't care about the civilians. They don't care if you're a civilian. Now their tune is changing, and I've heard that once this happens, we're gonna go to the civilians, and you're gonna be on the, and you're like, well, what are you talking about? Now we got AI transcribing every single video and every single word that I've said against them, you know, is right out there now. I didn't say that knowing that would come back to haunt me. Yeah, we were warned. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like all
the world has changed. Like, whoa! In the last year, it's a completely different planet we live on. You know, and next year it'll be completely different again. Like, everything has changed.
So there's one part that it's really hard for me to understand with this 20 and back program is if they're taking your consciousness, putting it into a cloned body. And some of these people talk about they're fighting in wars. If something happens to them and they die on that planet, you know, do they die as a child here and they just figure out how to deal with it?
I don't think they die here. I think your consciousness just finds its way back to the original body and it's over. I think that's the deal.
Okay.
Or so they can save you.
And they leave the regular person here.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. So there's really no danger of losing that person. I think your consciousness just returns to where it came from, to your original body. Like, it's a signature, it's tethered. And so I don't think there's any danger of it. That's why that's why they had people from the 20 and back up there as personnel on the craft. We did expendable jobs. And there were people that were born and raised on Ceres colony that were not expendable. So they had more rights than we did. And they did 20 and backs too. So really, it's life extension technology. And if they did it right, we would all want to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We would all want to take part. Like, it's another 20 years of your youth. So it's one thing to say you're going to live from 80 to 100 when you would have died at 80. It's another thing to say you're going to live from 15 to 35 and then live it again. Imagine how amazing that is. You can learn, you can have PhDs, you could be an amazing 15-year-old, you know?
Well, I heard the recruiting numbers are down, so something like that ought to help bring them up, you know?
Yeah, well, they could take people against them. They don't even know it.
Who'd want an extra 15 years of this right now? They'd have to have a better selling pitch than this. If they said you're coming back for 20 years, I'd say, hell no, I'm not. Like, I'm trying to find a way out of here. Are you serious? Like, do you think that we're trapped at Earth? Like, I don't
believe that for a minute. Yeah. Everybody's trying to say the prison planet thing, your soul gets reincarnated. I think that's BS.
What about going to the
if memory is non-local, like I said earlier. So I was in a different body. They put me in a different body and brought me back here. And then later on, 40 or 33 years later, I got my memories back. That means that memory is non-local. It's not stored in my body. That means that I am non-local. Your soul doesn't get trapped here because your soul is really from the other side anyway. So there's nothing they're going to do in time space that's going to trap your soul. I think that's an op, same as flat Earth and the same as the sim everything. I think it's all BS. It's more confusion that people are coming up with. Look at all these things that are popping up that we never had any history of before. So I think it's an op. I think it's just an op, and it makes people get away from their core self and from their faith in themselves, which is very big, which is a huge loss for everybody.
You just think of the souls, so are they constantly, if they didn't recycle some of them, like how they create, just an overabundance, it seems like, of souls.
Well, think about it here. You die, you're in between outside of time space and in time space. You die, you're stuck here without your body. The rest of you will come get you. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're on the other side. Like, me and my friends on the other side will come and get me if they try to trap my soul here.
Okay,
that's what I believe. I believe we exist outside of time space primarily, and we're just driving around in meat suit. So I don't believe in the soul trap one bit.
So is that where all these operations happen? Is outside of time and space? None of these operations you're involved in happen in our current?
No, I was right here. I could have walked up to myself and punched myself in the nose. There were two of me right here. The same music. I was listening. I was watching MTV. It was the same thing. In space, the same thing. On Sirius Colony, right now, this moment, there's 250,000 people living there. On Mars, there's people up there on the back of the moon. There's people there. It's in our time space. There's phase where they can be a little bit invisible outside, like a dimensional existence, dimensional phase. But I was in time space the whole time. I'm talking about our consciousness. I'm talking about when you die, your consciousness is not from time space. It's outside. And the science, when we really unpack remote viewing and all psychic ability, quantum hologram theory, when we talk about a lot of those things and the Planck distance, how consciousness interacts to the Planck distance, it explains that we are outside of time space, and that's why we can access future and past events and at any distance with remote viewing. That's what explains it. So our consciousness, it resides outside of time space.
So in one of my experiences, they showed me, it was with holographs, like it was almost like they based time, like they went back, it was holographic, and it was like a slinky that interwound. They could go back at any portion in time and experience it just as like it had happened, but they wouldn't change it with their mere presence. So is it kind of something along those lines?
Well, the time space is like a choose your own adventure. Yes, you can travel time space and go back. So the Sirius Colony Corp, when they had time, they called it 0 hour. That was the name of the fleet. It wasn't the night. It wasn't the dark fleet. It was 0 hour, a midnight, the midnight fleet, 0 hour. And what that meant was everywhere they went, it was the beginning of the day because they had time travel. It was as soon as they had time travel, they renamed it that. And I said, well, why don't you guys just go back and change time and make it where you're super awesome?
Yeah.
And they said that there are beings outside of time space that police it. So you can get away with traveling time and doing some things, but eventually they would come and get you. And they actually did. They did try aggressive temporal missions. And these beings came and punished the leader of the colony. And so there's laws to it. And so there are beings that don't live in our 3D realm outside of time space that will come and intervene if you begin to change the timeline greatly.
Like a quantum leap.
That's the story that I remember. So, like I said, I don't take what I say as the gospel. Take it as a piece of data and keep looking. But that's what I remember them saying.
So like quantum leap, like a thing like that. I just remember that show where he jumps and he goes and
we could get you right.
Is a part of the timeline that's like
they had it in Loki, where they put you in. You know, where he took you and you could live for 1,000 years in a crappy 10 minutes and keep repeating it. So that was their punishment.
That's savage. That is savage. Oh man. So how do you think that the 20 years that you got were free and clear, or you had to like a part of you? Because I know you said like at a point like 20 years, you know, things like started to change in your life and stuff like that.
So at the end of it, right at the end of it, like when the other one of me died, I snapped out of it. Like I was depressed and emotionally not right. I don't know how to explain it, how personal you want to get, but I had a lot of emotional problems for that time. From 10 to 30, I wasn't right, man, you know, in the head. And then all of a sudden, in one day, I just snapped out of it, and my life changed immediately. It was a huge life change, and that's exactly what I find when I ask other people that I believe. I say, well, when did it start? And we get a day, and then I just add 20 years to it, and I go, well, tell me about this time. Tell me about July in 2010. They go, how do you know that? How did you know that? That's when I was in an abusive relationship. I quit. I drove across country. I finished college, and I got my life together. How did you know that? And it's on 60%. 60% of 2,000 people say the same thing when I add 20 years on. So that's how often that is, and that's the phenomenon. Like, think about your consciousness being split and watered down, and at the end, you get it back at the 20-year mark. And then you kind of snap out of it. You go back to being the person you originally were. That's what it felt like for me.
So if you had to do it all over again?
I wouldn't change anything, because who knows that I'd be worse off? I wouldn't know. Right. So I could be way worse off if I didn't do it. I paid my dues, and my life is good now. So there was I don't want to say reward. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't change anything. I don't look back with regrets that I did something wrong. I lived my life as best I could, and it led me down that road.
Right. And I say to people, I'm like, no matter what, like, you have got to experience something that very few people will ever get to experience. And, and understand it did not come like just with all these no, there's a lot that goes with this. And I know even
there was a lot of abuse.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of negativity. Like, it was not a glorious 20 years, but there were a few good times. Like I essentially acclimated, and I didn't want to leave at the end of it. I wanted to stay. Like, I finally got to a point where it was bearable, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to come home. So I liked it. I liked it up there.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds like Stockholm syndrome, right? Do
you think that's what it was?
Well, it feels like it. It sounds like it.
It does sound like it, but the reality is far different.
The reality is that I started out as a kid and an orphan, and I went through a lot of abuse. I was heavily abused, and I started to get over it, and I earned my place in society up there to where I had some respect. And so that's why, it was enjoyable. My last couple of years up there was enjoyable. I did a job. I was a cargo engineer on a spaceship, like Star Trek. I was going to other planets. I was, I had a girlfriend. I had a life. I had friends. I had freedom to move around in the colony. I had money, not a lot, but I had a little bit of money for what I was. And, it was, I had, from where I started to where I earned was a big way. And so I had accomplishments I didn't want to give up.
Well, not everybody there was harmful or hurtful. It's a lot of times when you go through with a
ultimately it's a system. It's just a system. It's not like they were evil. It's a system of getting business done. They have technology and they used it, and they were in the 50s or in the 30s and 40s mentality. So people, if we look at it, they were barbaric compared to what we are now, because we're programmed differently. They lived in a different world, and so they had technology, and that's what they made with it. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Just because we have the same tools doesn't mean we're gonna go. I just often wonder if AI is not going to be a communication tool or an identification tool.
It's going to be Big Brother. It's going to be watching us, and it already is. It's already. That's why all the phones don't have camera. That's why all the cameras with internet access, network access, don't have a cover. Every camera ever made had a dust cover until they began to be networked. Every camera that has access to a network does not have a dust cover. Clearly, dust covers are better, but they don't have a dust cover because they're watching us. It's a spy. It's spying on us. The laptop, the computer, all of it. It's all in AI, and you can't do that. You can't process that data without AI. So they've had AI for a long time. Sorry, I feel like I'm being preachy. I don't mean to be.
No. I'm listening to what you're saying because I'm thinking in recent times, like if they didn't know the direction that we were going, like I don't think that how many of us gave interviews, and I was so shocked because I pulled up this bio and it's like, I mean, it's going every single like show I've been on or was a guest on, or I mean, it had like down there, I was exposing government secrecy was another, I was like, whoa, this thing is not messing around. I mean, it's just
We're on a list.
Transcribed everything. Yeah.
I believe that everything that ever happened on the internet is recorded.
I've been hearing a lot about this list. If it's a watch list, what kind of watch is it? A wristwatch, a pocket watch? I'm waiting for this watch to get the friend this list,
Stephen Bassett went into it a little bit. And he seems to think there's 3 different ones that people are landing on. So I don't know. I don't want to put myself on the radar if I'm not on there already. But
no, they keep track of who knows what. They keep track of who knows what.
Yeah,
it's that simple. So if you're aware of things that happen in government, things that are classified, if you're aware of classified information, then you end up on a list. And they keep an eye. And once you get to where you're a threat, then they keep a closer eye on you and then intervene. And so it's just national security. That's all it is.
Yeah, I hate to say I don't know about this, but I got my name put on a local intel sheet for this, and they quote unquote said conspiracy theory. So I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but it was definitely brought up. So so if they're doing this at a local level, how many people just know about it? I mean, it's just filtering all the way up. That scares me the most, I think. That right there.
Well, and then the other thing, so think about this. If there's a combination of words that represent the program where they're taking kids into the 20 and back, the combination of words, and it's the pumpkin carpet purple, right? If that combination of words, and we speak it, now all of a sudden some guy gets a thing on his desk that Tony said the secret phrase. Let's get some guys on him and see what he knows. You know what I mean? It's a word search. There's billion people they're watching. Billions of people that they're watching. They can't watch everybody with an agent. It's an AI.
Yeah, that's what I figured. They're what they're looking for. I was trying to figure exactly how they're classifying or our documentation, especially when this is coming to light. This is one thing that they are going to try and choke hold to control. And like you said, we already know disclosures already happened. It really has. Like every single. I think you
already told everybody. Nobody cared.
No,
they came out with UAPs. They show the performance UAPs. Nobody put it together that those things can fly to other planets very quickly. Nobody put it together that the energy output doesn't make sense with gasoline or anything else. And so nobody cared. So people are really dumbed down. It's just a matter of stupidity. Oh, that's a drone. Those are drones. You guys are being stupid. The drone could go 70,000 miles an hour and then slam into water and then fly back up to space in a minute. So that technology means that all of academia is wrong. Everything's wrong. And people didn't get it. People don't get it.
I don't know. Do you think that they don't get it or they're just not? I look at it sometimes as a game of chess. Like you got, your king, you got your queen, you got your pawns, you got whatever. Like, are we all playing the same game here or certain? Because I just feel like sabotage. They have to be sabotaging at a certain point.
I think I think the average person the average IQ has gone down in my lifetime. The average IQ has gone down.
Oh,
and the average person is not smart, but they do, so they're successful. So they don't want to hear about things that they're not smart about. They just want to hear about things they're successful with. It really boils down to that. Like, people are stroking their ego. And for them to hear about ETs and all that stuff, that's something brand new they need to learn. They don't want to learn it. So they go, yeah, whatever. That's just a drone. They move on.
Yeah.
It's not
And
pertinent
it's
to them.
just, it's catchy too. They don't even have to have like a reasonable basis anymore. Because we're saying more and more like all this information everybody's been dumping on you for the last 4 years. And then you start to like, I mean, is everybody really that crazy? Like, I mean, I think that it's really started to put a lot in perspective on what our government and what the capabilities are. Because they hold the technology long before we do. And that's like you said, like but do you think that we come in and they don't quite have us on the radar maybe, or have somebody that and they have to find you? Or how do you think they located you when you were 10?
Well, like I said, I went to school with somebody that had access. I was brushed shoulders with somebody that had access. So I pissed off his kid. And, when they go looking for people, they have the talented and gifted program. They look for certain IQ level. They go and test them. And that's it.
When I was 4, I was recruited, and this preschool back when I was going to school was not like he didn't really do that, and he had half day kindergarten. But I was recruited by the gifted and talented program, and went to a Montessori preschool. I was 4 when it happened, but I don't really remember. I just remember after a few months, my parents, and I never had that real big conversation with them, but they did pull me out of it. So I don't know. Yeah. And a lot of some of what you're saying, but I always grew up in the paranormal world. I just didn't start connecting. So much of this is like my journey along too. So I hear things, and then I'm hoping other people hear those words, and it wakes something up in them like, oh yeah, this, because I didn't put any of that together until the last couple of years.
Talented and gifted, they tested you with ink blots. You were very, very extensively tested for your IQ. And so you were on the list.
Blocks,
you're on a list.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, well, you look at Mensa though, and that makes sense why the disclosure was trying to go through Mensa. But yeah, there's definitely something that's so interesting. I just remember them like putting blocks together or making like patterns, and just going through. And when you're 4, you don't really go gifted and talented like that. That doesn't sound. I thought about playing blocks and things like that. But I'm now wondering, yeah, that's so interesting.
A lot of people that are contactees were in TAG, and TAG is still going on the West Coast.
And what's that exactly? We explain to people.
Talented and gifted.
Yes.
TAG.
And so is that what they're still calling it? See, I kind of lost track of what is this like still a thing that they're doing?
Talented and gifted. It's the TAG program, and that's how they they're finding talent. They test kids and tell them they're special, and then check their stuff. And there's other ones too, like I think she's saying the GATE program. So they are looking for recruits. They what I mean? They take the cream of the crop.
See, they don't stop their games. I would have thought that they would have gotten rid of the TAG program since it was kind of being exposed. But no, don't put your kids in it.
Parents are proud to put their kids in. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I said, it's like going back, and it's not like data you're remembering. Like they're testing for other things. I mean, like they're having you, like giving you puzzles and different things to put together, and it's not like, do you know who the president of the United States? It's none of that type of learning.
What happened? We lost our guy.
Oh, it's sometimes he was having a little bit of issue with his equipment, so I saw that. So yeah, when we tried to upgrade our equipment, and when we did, we about knocked the show off because we both did it at the same time. So yeah, no, I knew that probably happened to me the week before, and I was like, oh boy. But yeah, seems to be working out. I think with any change, it just like kind of rejects it, and that's what happens. So, but yeah, this is absolutely so fascinating, and I know that you don't feel well, so I'm not going to keep you on much longer. Is there anything else like that I mean, I would love to have you back for a part 2 and 3 and 4, because I think that just unbelievable.
I'll be in better shape next time. I can guarantee it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is great though. Like, people can go back to this interview, and they can kind of understand this is base 1, base 2, and how this happens. And hey, we
Oh,
should be looking at our own kids because I don't know about yours, but mine's a little concerning at 16 and common sense wise. So even though I try to like, but it's just a different world. But definitely, Tony, thank you so much for coming on. And is there anything that, can you tell people where to find you? And I'll try and get all those links together and out
yes.
to people.
So I'm on TonyRodrigues.com. I work on binaural. So I'm working the remote viewing and reverse engineering the school that I went to up there. I've been trying to do that. And I had people give me some funding, and I came a long way, and I've invented binaurals that are really high tech. So not your standard binaural. These are like really high tech stuff. And those are I have made it a sister company under it. It's called Psion.com. It's PSIION.com. So 2 I's, PSIION. And I sell binaurals on there. They've been a big hit. They're like 30-minute recordings with music and everything. And they have subliminals that are affirmation, like successful mindset and for toughen it up. There's a grief one I'll have probably by the end of next week. That'll be up there for when you're grieving to help it. Excuse
That's
me.
amazing.
But it's been a big hit, and I'm working on other stuff, undoing technologies. And then since I've been a speaker, I've met people that have taught me things, and I've kind of adapted it to what I remember. So the learning program, the binaural, the audio program, the obelisk program, these are all things that I'm working on now, and the remote viewing. You can find them all from TonyRodrigues.com, except for Scion. I still got to add that tag. And my Patreon is where people get a hold of me, and I do all the stuff I do on Patreon is in a live group, like in a Zoom call every week. So it's very active there. It's very active, yeah. And that's what I do.
That's amazing work. Thank you for your part in disclosure. And even though we believe it has been, the public does not. So thank you for pushing it even further. Yes, yes. And hopefully, one of these days we can come together and be like, finally, this happened. Whatever the rest of the world needs. But for the people who experience it, this is real life. This is not something that's like this crazy dream. No, this is in like probably one of the biggest moments, that you go back into your history. It's just
it wasn't an astral dream for me. It was real. It was real in 3D in real time. And I went back and found the places. And so there's no way I could have known my way around the places, and I can prove that I've never been there, and I went back and do my way around.
And you have cellular memory of it. That all in itself proves to me that there was far more there, that your body's responding. And that's huge, huge. And so, yeah, you got it all. Excuse me. But yeah, so I will definitely be in contact, and thank you so much again. I hope you get feeling better soon. And we will let you go. Yeah, and then I'll get in contact, and we'll definitely have you back on. You have a lot of people who love and care about you out here. Awesome.
And everybody in the chat, great questions tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll be seeing you soon. So yeah, Tony, gosh, so much of his story, if you just, kind of suspend like your judgment thing, because I look back at my story and I can't tell you how many times I've had these like, whoa, like, is that possible? Because none of this really seems like possible. And people like, hey, you're in a small town. Why you? Now you know what I'm out here doing. Why me? That's exactly it. Why it leaves so many questions, but there's so much to this, and I'm just thankful for everybody here that's doing their part. So the chat, you guys are awesome. Oh, I see more of that at Magneticus. If you want to talk to somebody that will twist your brain, and I'm working with him in some cryptology stuff, and I thought my brain was able to handle it, but his brain, he's like, Magneticus, you are a special type of genius that everybody, man, I mean, he is definitely. And we got Paul, my birthday brother, Paul. He's up in Canada, so thank you. James the Rooster. We have everybody who's in chat. We really appreciate it. Maybell, Paul. Oh gosh, I love you guys all. Craig William. Hey, thank you and welcome. Donut. Oh yeah. Angina, let me see. Angela Ellison. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I did not, but thank you. Thank you for your support. It's so wonderful to see the chat and everything. And yeah, Mabel, you need a Canadian network. Definitely. Yes. You know that. Hey, I'm all Paul is just Maybell 77. If you looked into him, I mean, he has got a great story too. Craig William, Riley Hunter, Chris, hey, oh my gosh, Andrew. Oh, Andrew is one of the experiencers that was with me since day one. So I want to thank you all, and thank you. Thank you. Without your support, we would not be able to do what we're able to do. So it's together. We are together. We're in this together. I mean, for real, this part, I believe that, we got to be good to one another. And I think really start to put the pieces together. We got it. So on behalf of SNX Radio, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown tonight. And with our special guest, thank you to Tony Rodrigues. And like he said, TonyRodrigues.com. And I will go ahead and I will be uploading those additional links into his bio. So everybody enjoy your Saturday night, sending love and peace out into the world. And hope Drift Sync, hey, thank you. Scott Rollins, I don't know how he would shape you in, but I hope you made it through the show, buddy. He's a diehard. So on that note, take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside, in the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Submission Next Quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Submission Next Quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bring shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this road we will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand. Where the stars and secrets flow, Submission X Radio's glow. In the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, oh, yeah. Come with us and let into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Into the way we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into